Good morning, my dear artistic friends. Today we're going to try to finish this, and I want to give you a tip for how to make your painting conceptualization better. So I may have explained, I think I explained in part one that the first painting I was doing of this energetic dancer was just not, it wasn't my vision at all. When I shared it with my daughter, she asked me a very important question which I had failed to ask myself at the time. She said, well, what is your vision? And I realized when she asked that although I had the concept in my head, I hadn't actually articulated it to myself, which is kind of against everything I've ever learned. Back whenever I was first beginning, one of the biggest and most important techniques that I learned, and I learned it from Karen Margulis, was to use art words to describe what you see. So she was referring to things that you actually see, but that would refer also to what you see in your head. So I grabbed hold of that, and I immediately started thinking, well, what is it? Let me articulate in words what it is. And then I went to Google and I started putting in those words, abstract dancer. And I began to just look at the images for inspiration, and I was like, yes, 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 those are the one. No, that one doesn't fit. Yes, yes, yes. And I didn't copy any of those, but that articulated what my image was in my head for that. So I want to encourage you to do that. Not only that, but another technique which is very related to that was, when you come in to finish up a painting or to do the next step on a painting, write down a list of things that you're going to do. Otherwise, you will overwork, you will get lost, you will change the vision in the middle of it. This will help you stay focused. So today, that's what I've done. To finish this, I think that I need to do these things. I want to look at the face. I want to know whether I'm going to do anything with the face. Right now it's somewhat effective. I want to make it more effective, but not mess up its efficiency now. The skin on her arms is not right, and I'm not sure what's wrong. I think there's a color issue, and I want to work on that. The edges and energy need to be enhanced. There's some places that I didn't get to, basically. Just need to finish that. And shadow correction. They're on the left-hand side and on her left leg. The shadows need correcting, so I'm going to work on those things. I'm approaching this with great fear and trepidation, so I'm going to go for it first. I'm going to try a few things and hopefully not mess it up. Shall we begin? All right, just a reminder that this portion of the video has been, the speed has been increased. All right, so very first thing I'm doing is taking my fear in my hand and addressing that eye. And sure enough, it comes out as if it were closed, and I like that, so I'm going to leave it. I'm putting some highlight on her face. I'm going very carefully so that, and checking after each stroke so that I have a chance to stop if it looks like it's messing it up. I'm adding a little color to her cheeks. I'm adding color to her lips. I touch it with white. I don't like the color of the white, so I go back with a warmer color for the teeth, and I like that better. So
All right. Sorry, my head is in the way. I apologize. Again, I'm just adding a little light and detail and just being very cautious with the face. Choosing a color for the skin and adjusting the shoulder. I keep disappearing from the frame, and the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm backing up behind the camera to look after every few strokes. That way, I don't have a lot to correct if I end up not liking what I've done. Adding a little bit of distinction to the hands in the prayer position so that they register in your eye the way that I'm looking for. Correcting this arm, it sticks out too far, so I'm actually negative painting it back, just pulling it back. All right, addressing the edges, just like I mentioned in my list. I'm addressing those edges. I want the color to scatter and to blend in with the wall. I'm addressing the shadows, just like on my list. I want to connect the shadows. So I'm connecting them all the way up. And I'm adding some of the red because that would be behind as well. The shadow, actually, if you think about how the light's falling, it wouldn't actually go the full length of her leg there. So I'm correcting that part of the shadow and pulling some of the color out into the space around her. That's part of what's going to give this energetic dancer her energy. All right, using some green. Green is in my palette. There's not a lot of it there. And to modify the shadows a bit. Adding some detail, but not too much, just so that you understand that those are her feet. Adding some light where the feet need light. Backing up, looking again. That back area needs to be darkened even more. As I back up and I look, I'm noticing the entire shape of the shadowed area. I'm not just looking at little details. I'm looking at the entire shape of the shadowed area. What is that shape? Is it interesting? Is it connected? Does it give the contrast that I am looking for? Does it give me some good contrast? I want her face to have some energy too, so I'm pulling some of those colors out into the area around her. Backing up, checking again. Noticing that the shoulder is not quite right. It's gotten eaten into with some of the other colors. So I'm adjusting that. Enriching the colors of her costume. They were, I love the red, but there are lots of colors of red. Want to include all of those, or many of those. It makes it richer and more exciting. Again, very gently, very carefully adding something to the face. Notice that I make a few marks and then I back off. I don't keep picking at it. And then I move on to something else just to let it sit for a minute and see if what I've done is enough. The cool thing about art and art mediums is that for the most part, correcting mistakes is possible and doable. Even if you make a huge mistake and ruin the entire picture, no big deal. You can just start over. With pastels, you can brush it all off and start over again. If you're using UArt, you can practically get it all the way back down to the paper. If you're using oils, you can scrape it all down, or you can let it dry and paint over it with gesso and start again. Another thing, that if you're a beginner and you're thinking, I sure would like to learn to do some art, but man, it's expensive. I'm going to tell you that yes, it is. And most people's answer to that is, well, I'll get a cheap set, I'll get a cheap this, I'll get a cheap that. And then if I am interested in it and I'm any good at it, if I'm any good at it is really one of the main things people think. If I'm any good at it, I will then buy the expensive stuff. And the truth is, what you really need to do is choose to buy smaller amounts but higher quality things. And here's why. If you truly decide that you don't want to do it, that you're not going to devote the time to it, that it's not as exciting as you thought, you are going to be able to, okay, I'm just indicating there that's the shape of the shadow that I'm working on. Okay, so back to supplies and buying cheap stuff. If you buy the higher quality stuff and you decide you don't want to use it for whatever reason, that you're not going to use it or whatever, you will be able to resell that material. There are artists out there who will use it. They will buy it from you and they will use it from you. So you will get at least part of your money back. And you will be helping an artist who really does spend time with their art. So buy the expensive stuff. Buy small amounts, but buy the expensive stuff. You will find the pigment loads so much better. Your results will feel more successful. Guaranteed. You buy the cheap stuff and you're going to be fighting the cheap much more than you are going to be fighting your own abilities. Your abilities are going to be enough of a challenge without you having to also fight poor materials. So my encouragement to you is go ahead and invest. And then if you decide you really don't want to do it, no problem. You'll be able to find artists who want to purchase from you. And that's another really interesting thing to consider for yourself if you're wanting to start doing some art and you really can't afford even a small amount of the higher quality professional materials. Why not look for some used stuff? You would be surprised at how much is out there and available. I would encourage you to look on eBay. Don't buy new stuff, buy used stuff. Look on Facebook Marketplace. Look for art supplies. Ask around among your friends, because some of them are going to say, oh, like my mom had some in her storage, and you would be surprised at the quality you might come up with. So don't hold back purchasing the nice materials so that you can get a true feeling of how that art medium is going to feel in your hands and in your heart. then don't be afraid to go and look for the used materials, the high quality materials. Don't buy cheap materials used. Buy the nice stuff. Do your research. Find out what's artist grade, and do find out the brands and the types that are the good materials for you. Again, I'm packing up and I'm taking a nice long look at this. I'm pretty pleased with it. So we're going to stop right here. I am signing with a colored pencil. It's wax base, makes it really easy.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. I did address everything on here, and as often happens, I'm not going to say usually because sometimes there's not a serendipitous mistake, but when I tried the eye, I was thinking of an open eye, but the mark that the pastel made was a closed eye, and it was almost perfect. So I left it and went with that rather than take the chance of messing that up. I think her closed eye gives you the idea that she's really enjoying what she's doing. And anyway, I'm really happy with it. The signature, I usually don't sign mine till I'm pretty sure it's where I want it. I might change one or two very small things after that, but otherwise I just leave it. So I'm really happy with this. I'm going to leave it the way it is. And let's see what else they wanted. Oh, I wanted to tell you about the trick that I recently learned from Liz Haywood Sullivan. A lot of pastelists are like, how do you sign your work? Well, sometimes if you use a pastel pencil, the tip will wear down before you get a nice effect. But if you use a colored pencil, which has a wax base, then it will not lose its point. It works just as well. If you decide to erase it, it erases just fine. If you decide to go over it with pastel, it goes over it just fine. So get you a selection of colored pencils if you don't already have them, and sharpen those things and use them to sign your work. So I hope you enjoyed my energetic dancer. I am still considering the possible titles for it, so if you have a suggestion, please look down in the comments and type your answer. Be sure and stay till the end for a special offer. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell if you want to know when I put up a new video. What else? I would love it if you visited my website. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, all those places. And let's see what happens next. Thanks. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
When I began my art journey 5 years ago, I had no idea all the joy that I would find. If I had known, I wouldn't have waited so long. Over those years, I have talked to many people who want to begin some kind of artistic pursuit, but they are blocked. They don't know how, they think it's too expensive, or they've been told they don't have any talent. I wish I could share with everyone that there are solutions and help for all of those issues. I've created a quiz to help you determine what is blocking you from the joy of art. It will pinpoint the area of your greatest block and give you solutions that will work. I know they will because I've tried them myself. All you have to do to access the quiz and get your results is to sign up for my email newsletter. The link is below in the comments. You'll get your results immediately so you can get started enjoying your art journey.